Hello, this is lesson 9.3, rotations. Depending on which hour you're in, you've probably already seen 9.1, translations, but you might be doing reflections out of order, like these might be swapped. So maybe you've already seen reflections and you're doing rotations now, or maybe you're doing rotations and then you're going to see reflections later on Monday. If it is out of order and you haven't seen reflections yet, don't worry about it. One of my classes is out of order. So today is rotations. The essential question for today is, what type of transformation is a rotation? Well, most people know rotating means spinning or some sort of turning, so it's a pretty good idea that rotation is going to be a turn. In geometry, when we talk about a rotation, it's a transformation that spins a figure counterclockwise or to the left about a given point. So in this picture, I've got point P as the point I'm rotating around, and I'm rotating this triangle ABC approximately 90 degrees to right there. With a rotation, you can tell it's 90 degrees because if I take any 2 points, like from A to B, and I connect them up, that's a 90-degree turn, right? So A to B prime, sorry, B to B prime is a 90-degree turn. It's true for all the other points. If I look at C to C prime, look at that, 90-degree turn. And even A to A prime, and that's going to look a little bit odd because A is off to the side. Here's A prime. If I connect those to my point of rotation, look at that, 90-degree turn. So when you're doing a rotation, all the points rotate about that point that you're rotating. So here, that figure is rotating about point P 90 degrees. What can make rotations a little bit tricky is when this point moves around. So we're just going to do a few examples where we do some rotations. All of your sketches in the homework can just be approximately, like as long as you know 90 degrees is like that, right? That's a good approximation. I'm not looking for anything exact here, just an idea so you can get a good idea of rotations. So here's an example. Sketch a 45-degree rotation about point P. Well, 90 looks like that, right? So a 45 rotation is just going to be that way, like not quite all the way to 90, not quite a right angle. It's just like that. So we're going to be like halfway through a right angle. So if I rotated all these 45 degrees, well, here I've got a square. Here, probably even show you. Here's a square. 90 would have made another square with the flips. If I did a rotation 45, it's going to make that diamond shape, right? Diamond shape. So a 45-degree rotation centered at that point P is just going to be a diamond shape. All of these are going to move 45 degrees to the left. So that Q is going to move 45 degrees, be right about there. That S is going to move 45 degrees. It's going to be right about there. So Q moves to here. I'm going to call it Q prime. S moves to there. I'll call it S prime. Probably know where E is going to move. E is going to move right about here. Call that E prime. And R, that's going to move to right about there. Now all of a sudden you're looking at it like that's not a square, but I was just using those to help me. Remember, this is a square. If I connect the S, Q, R, E up, do it with their images. There's S prime to Q prime to R prime to E prime. Diamond shape, rotated for 45 degrees to the left. All right. So those lines I was drawing earlier, those will just help me to see 45 degrees, right? I drew a line to Q, another line to Q, that was a 45-degree turn. So all the points shifted 45 degrees. Let's try a few more. Sketch another 45-degree angle about point P, but this time P is down here. Well, when I rotate it, I think it's still going to make a diamond shape, but this time it's rotated. That's my center. That's where I'm turning it around. I'm not turning it around in the center here. I'm turning it about point P. So let's look at R. R is right there right now. So if I did 45 degrees, going to be the same distance away, right? Now it's going to be right there, R prime. Let's try it with Q. Well, Q is right there right now. There's a line from P to Q. If I went 45 degrees, well, let's see here. That'd be 90. I don't want 90. I want half of that. 45 degrees would be right about that angle. But it's going to have the same length, right? Q is that far away, so that far away. Looks like Q is almost going to go in the same place S is right now, right? That looks like 45 degrees. Q is going to be right about there. Let's try S. Right now, P to S is right there. 45 degrees. That looks like about 45, don't you think? This distance and that distance. S is going to be right about here. And then E. E is that far away. 45 degrees to the left. Same distance, right? That distance and that distance are the same. So E prime is going to be right about there. Now, if I look at it, I think I probably messed up a little bit, right? If I connect these up, that doesn't look like a square anymore, but it gives me a good idea of what it should have looked like. On your homework, I'm just looking for a rough idea. So I would accept that. Like, yeah, you got it. If you wanted to be a little bit better, you'd be like, all right, well, I know it should have been a square. And we can see how it rotated now. The E prime and R prime would have rotated like that. That'd be like that. So the S prime must have actually been right about here. So I still have a square when I'm looking at it. E prime maybe is a little bit higher. That looks more like a square there. There's my rotation. So again, I'm not looking for anything super solid, just kind of like, hey, there's a pretty good sketch. That's a 45-degree angle, rotated right around that point, right? So here's my original, and then I kind of like, that was my holding point. Point P stayed there, and the rest of it just rotated 45 degrees. Let's try another one. 180-degree rotation. Sometimes it helps to think of rotations as a person, like 180-degree rotation in snowboarding or skateboarding. That's when you do a complete 180 and you're looking backward, right? So that's a half of a circle turn. So if I did a complete 180 turn here, that T is going to go all the way over there. That R is going to go all the way over there. They're going to flip-flop. They're going to be rotating. And this whole thing is going to rotate. This whole triangle is going to rotate down there. Let's see if I can figure out what that'll look like. Let's see. The whole triangle rotates 180 degrees. This E is going to end up down here. I think I'm going to get something that looks like that, right? Take it 100 degrees. That's like turning it upside down. So there I turned it upside down. This would be E prime. That, well, that's where the T would have gone, right? The T would have gone all the way to there. So that would be my T prime. That'd be my R prime. Just a sketch is all we're looking for rotations. One last one. Oh, here's point P is on it this time. Again, 180 degrees. So I'm going to rotate it like upside down. Sometimes people like actually seeing it. You take this and you spin it all the way upside down. What's it going to look like? Well, if I spin that around this point, so that point stays still, the rest of it spins 180 degrees down there. I'm gonna get a triangle that looks like that. All right, so it went 180 degrees all the way around. It's gonna be R prime, E prime. That's what it's gonna look like. It's rotated around that point. With your homework, again, I can't stress this enough. This is just something to practice. It can be hard, it can be weird, but just make your best guess of what you think that rotation would be. Like 180 degrees, I think it's here. I'm not going to worry too bad if it's a little bit off. Even if it's way off, I'm not going to worry too bad. The biggest skill set with this is just practicing it and trying to spin things in your head and see how it looks. I'm not going to worry too much about if the problem isn't perfect. That's something we can also look at. I just want to see what you guys come up with. So for that, there's only 4 problems. Oh, it looks like we got one more example. 20-degree rotation. All right, 20 degrees isn't much. Let's say 20 degrees is about that. If I rotated this 20 degrees, can you see what it would look like? Just a little bit, right? A little bit movement. My sketch, I'm going to say it's going to look something like that, right? I rotated it part of the way. There's my T prime, C prime, E prime, and R prime. 20-degree rotation. So just that, just a sketch. That's what I'm looking for. Just 4 problems, give it your best shot. Let's see what you got for sketches. I'm really kind of curious and happy to see what we come up with for this. See you later.